Good morning and welcome to the Daily Huddle. The Daily Huddle streams live on YouTube, and you can catch us every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern through 9:30 Eastern. Welcome to the Daily Huddle. Today's conversation is designed to challenge and maybe confront each and every one of us. I have a very good friend of mine, Emily Goldmer, with us. Emily, along with her entourage, Kurt Roskoff and Sue Roskoff and many other friends, and my dear friend Rose Hampton, are committed to exploring a question with you. What if your business, and for the word business, you can sub in your family, your company, your church, what if your organization was an inclusion factory? See, in this world of diversity, equity, and inclusion, sometimes the terms thrown about some willy-nilly way that pits one camp against the other. Are you someone who include, or are you someone who exclude? So I invite you to listen to Emily, and I invite you to listen to Sue and Kurt and Rose, and begin to explore for yourself. What if my very own life was an inclusion factory? Emily, good morning. I'd love for you to kick us off and tell us a little bit about you.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Cyril. So I am a virtual assistant, podcast assistant, scheduler here in the Madison, Wisconsin area. And a little bit of my connection here is I do have a diagnosis of autism, and I'm a part of the Autism Society of South Central Wisconsin. And helping plan a adult autism conference, yearly autism conference. And so so a little bit about me. I have a great guest, other people here too. So uh, so back to you, Cyril.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you. And so many of you heard very clearly that Emily said that she was diagnosed with autism. And I am Haitian. I am Black. And for a very long time, I too thought that I was diagnosed with something, like being Black, like being Haitian. So this conversation is about inclusion. And what if your business was an inclusion factory? And we have with us, along with Emily, a number of people, Kurt and Sue Roskoff, especially, who've made it their business to create inclusion around them. And we also have Rose Hampton, who is the grandmother of two beautiful human beings who are neurodivergent. You're going to hear from them. You're going to hear what they deal with. And you're also going to hear their commitment to creating inclusion factories wherever they go. So, Kurt, I want to begin with you. Tell me, why this conversation, Kurt?
This conversation comes out of the sport that Sue and I love, and now with our daughter, for 15 years with her. And it hit us in the sport that we love to realize what we do to practice biases or stigmas, and not really opening the doors in an equitable fashion to a large extent. Obviously we can't over describe things. So what I want to share is that what happened to me is a decade ago. This stuff kind of came together where I got ignited because we told the story here at the Daily Huddle, doing these formats I like to call an ability huddle. And, it started with an exclusion story where a friend of ours didn't ski at a ski show one night, the way Sue and I had put it together with our show director. And then that next day, we got to work to say, hey, Alana, our daughter, and Sue here, and myself, we got to talk about that. That really hit us hard. That was like a sock in the gut, so going to work on all this, I was dubbed the nickname Special K, and now I use it in business circles. Hey everybody, I'm Kurt Roskoff, aka Special K. I'm here to brighten up your day. So let's get underway. And people like that energy. And where did I get that energy? I got this energy from the masters of ability. Folks like Emily. I met Emily through employment. I met Emily through the job site. I was told at the capital of Wisconsin that there was a lady that probably I would want on my radio show. Sue and I work on a radio show, and now Emily is a big part of the team at the radio show. And it all started with at the state capitol with self-advocates from all over Wisconsin saying nothing about us without us, self-determination, and so many other cries that I joined right in with them. Even though it wasn't me in self-advocacy, I'm a disability ally that I huddle up with self-advocates and I say whatever I can do to help my side of my peers that have missed quite a bit of what you have been trying to tell me for decades. The number 40 is a scriptural number, at least the way I read it. So when I was 40, some things happened. I'm 53 now, so this was 13 years ago, where I took a shift and I spoke about it about a half hour ago at Motivational Readers Mastermind Networks. We have Stan and some of our masterminds in here. And I just really celebrate what all of you bring into this conversation that percolated in my life in a unique way across my 53 years. And, with Emily, it's been kind of, that amazing experience that I actually call Emily Yamily, once in a while when you talk on the ministry side of things, and I have fun saying OMG, EMG. Emily's middle initial is M, and I have fun saying, what do you think the M stands for with Emily? And so forth. So the idea is Emily has reflected to Sue and I, and has said so in so many groups that it wasn't for what this is, this conversation and how Sue and I have done it with the Happy Neighborhood Project and so forth. Emily is a co-host with us at the Happy Neighborhood Project. We've talked so many times about how Emily gets to the top leaders in groups and organizations, like you, Sorrel. So this is now a mainstay thing for Emily. And the person that brought us together, her passion is employment. She's one of our U.S. Army veterans out of South Central Wisconsin. And Emily is out of South Central Wisconsin, specifically Madison. And, the idea is a charity there's a nonprofit there called Onward and Upward. And it's about people who are homeless and home insecurity, that whole realm of things. And this leader talks about, our U.S. Army veteran says, employment is that empowerment element, for our homeless veterans. So I just want to share some of that backstory because there's so many pieces that come together that only, a higher calling could make possible. So Sorrel raised his hand. Sorrel, what do you got, sir?
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you. There are so many voices to hear on the subject, and one of the things you may notice in the world, I've noticed it in the world, is that oftentimes the people you call Emily the master of ability, and there are so many masters of ability in our own lives, in our own businesses. And many times, we don't create the environment for them to thrive. And so now what you're opening up, Kurt, you're saying it is possible for people like you and me, for companies around the world, for organizations all over the place to start to look in that direction and see what they're missing. And Rose Hampton is here with us. And as I mentioned to you earlier, she's got 2 beautiful grandchildren who are neurodiverse. And she's here to share a little bit of her story and to point to a factory where her granddaughter worked that made it possible, that created an environment, that began to put in place an inclusion factory. And the life that created for Rose, the owners of the factory, and her granddaughter herself. Rose, good morning. So glad to have you with us.
Good morning. Good morning, Sorrel. Good morning, everyone. Good to be here. Thank you, Sorrel. So this is exciting. Yes. So I have 2 grandchildren who were both diagnosed, and they're 28 and 33 now. So this is, years ago, just a few years ago, right, Kurt? They were diagnosed as intellectually and socially delayed. That was, how they were characterized back in the day. I'll just put it like that. Anyway, they're now 28 and 33, and my granddaughter had been working for a factory, a small factory, manufacturing business in our community for 8 years, and this business produced natural ingredients, pest products. And she worked with the crew that did a lot of packaging and prepping for mailing and delivery. And after 8 years, she developed an allergy to a couple of the mainstay ingredients and had to resign. So very unhappy about that, because she absolutely enjoyed, right, being employed and having that paycheck and budgeting and all that good stuff. And she's been looking for a job for the past 5 months. And she's so disappointed that she hasn't found anything yet. And, she's mostly being referred to fast food, the supermarkets, and maybe a couple of big box stores, Walmart and Target. And I'm so grateful for them that they are neurodiverse. They're open to neurodiverse hiring, neurodiverse people. But she has not landed a position with any of them yet because she has restricted hours, and she has a job coach, which, can be an issue for some businesses to have someone on premise with the client or with the employee who is actually not an employee of the company, right? There's liability issues and all of that sort of. So she's not found a position yet. But, I got to thinking, my goodness, if that factory where she worked could create positions for neurodiverse employees, why can't others? So I called the CEO of the factory and had a conversation with her. And I'm very hopeful that at some point she'll actually join us, Kurt, Emily, and Sue, in one of these conversations. And I asked her, how she managed to do that. And she told me a wonderful, heartwarming story. I'm not going to tell her story. We're going to have her here. I'm just going to stand for having her here. No one can tell it better than she did. But what she did was she ended up, bringing some of the factory work to some neurodiverse environment to see if they could actually handle the tasks. And by golly, they could, right? I mean, my granddaughter and grandson, when they were growing up, I just decided to just throw the world at them. Try everything, throw them in the pool. Can you swim? Put them on a horse. Can you ride? top of the slide, go down. Try it all. My grandson was petrified. Go down there. And now, he's all over, right? But anyway, yeah. So how could, there's got to be 100 small businesses in our county. Surely we can find 4 of them. That's my goal, right? 4 more who will replicate what, my granddaughter's previous employer was doing. So that's it. I have a commitment. I am committed. I'm absolutely committed that each and every one of us, were accepted, even Black and Haitian, right? Right? Even autism, everything, all of us, even old, young, beautiful, and not. Each and every one of us are accepted. We're respected, and we have the opportunity to participate and to contribute. We need to be able to do both, right? We need to, our society has every single one of us are different ability, every single one. But this, society that we live in draws a red line. And if you're on this side of the line, you're accepted. And if you're on that side of the line, well, we're doing the best we can. No, we're not. Let's include everyone. When that rain falls from the sky, right? Every single one of us gets wet. Come on. We can do better. We can be better. We can be all inclusive. And so that's my project. We're going to find, let us find 4 more businesses who will recreate what that factory did, and they brag about the difference that it made in their culture, how much more fun, easy, inclusive, joyful. I promise you, my granddaughter was a hoot when she was in that factory. They got a good laugh at least once a week. So that's a little bit about that, Sorrel. And we're gonna get her CEO here and
thank you. Thank you for creating that. And to business owners listening out there, don't take this as an indictment. Don't take any of it as this group here, creating a world where some people are bad because they don't include, and some people are good because they do. We're pointing to something that's difficult, I think, for most of us. If it's different, if it's new, my brain tends to dismiss it. And it actually takes real effort to go beyond what my brain wants to do automatically, to create a world that works for everyone. And yet what I do know is that every single one of us is committed to that. It just takes a little more work. And we're inviting you to embrace that work. So for those of you who are business owners listening to us, for those of you who are recruiters listening to us, this is the quest. We're creating 4 more businesses replicating what that factory did. And we're promising you that the owner of that factory is going to be here to create with us the steps she took and model for you what you can do in the future to make your business an inclusion factory. Sue, we've not heard from you yet, and I'd love to hear from you. And then we're going to save the best for last. Have Emily give us her last words based on what we've created here. Sue, good morning.
There we go. Glad to be here. Thank you, Rose, for sharing the story. I think people see the barrier sometimes more than the ability to be inclusive. It is so easy to be inclusive of everybody, but sometimes the differences end up being more obvious, which should be a positive piece, really. We all have different abilities. I'm good at things that others aren't, and vice versa. And if we could all look at what we're all good at, because we're all different. That's the whole concept of diverse abilities. If we were all the same, it'd be boring around here, wouldn't it? So if we could all embrace the differences and embrace the ability that each of us has and to be able to promote that, make the most of that, then imagine where we would be. That's part of what our mission is of being able to have people step back and look at that. And I know we talk about adaptive skiing a lot, and I'm at my office right now. I actually have these pictures on my wall all the time so people can see what that is. And it's inclusive. Just because, like Joey here, he's paraplegic at this point. He used to be a water skier until he dove off of a dock that was too shallow and broke his neck. And now with what we're able to do, we can get him back on the water again. It's like, don't look at the piece of what's holding him back. Figure out a way to make it work. It's not that hard to figure out a way. And I think that goes in so many directions, whether you're talking about employment or the fun activity that we like to do. We love to water ski. Well, why can't we all? So it's just a matter of thinking outside the box that everybody says so often. Look at the ability, not the disability.
Yeah. Sue, thank you. As you were speaking, it's dawning on me that maybe the biggest inclusion factory is right between my ears.
Yes, for all of us, yes.
So in that sense, I personally need to confront my own biases that I inherited. And that doesn't make me a bad human being. It just makes me human. To the extent that I can acknowledge that my brain functions in such a way that when I bump into something that's different, I tend to ignore or dismiss it. When I bump into something that's a little harder to do than the usual, I tend to dismiss that as well. So this is an invitation for me, for you, for the entire world to grow and expand in a way that's quite easy. It's really easy to grow and expand. Say, oh my God, the biggest inclusion factory is right between my ears. And I'm going to look and see where my inherited biases keep me from doing just a little bit more to include someone else, everybody. So I know that many of you may have questions for Sue, Kurt, Rose, and Emily. We'll entertain and take your questions for a couple of minutes. And then Emily, I'll give you the last word. So who wants to speak to our panel? Everybody's shy.
Well, I'd like to just ask, I don't know, just Kurt, you and I have spoken before, and I still just kind of want to get a little sense of clarity, because I think about our platform, I think about Motivation Readers Mastermind Network platform, and the only thing my mind has been able to think of so far is that that we could develop something that would be a little more challenging, that will be a little more inclusive for those who maybe have the challenge with hearing, and I'm kind of wondering where I can go with that. So I'm kind of throwing that out there at you, not for you to directly address it now if you can, because it may take a while, but just to throw it on out there, because
yeah, I'd be happy to address that, Stan. And really in this whole realm, I think with all of our neurodivergent leaders and our leaders with autism and our masters of ability, we can bring this forward. And I think I would get some agreement in the disability community that when we look at our friends, who are deaf or hard of hearing, Sue and I were EMTs for 10 years. And in that journey, I learned how scary it is for someone who does not have hearing in an emergency situation. Because what do? We're taught as EMTs to verbalize.
Wow, right.
Well, all those people are seeing, everybody else is responding, and they're like, they don't know what to do. So they have to take visual cues, and it's scary. But to your point about like a platform, that is a perfect question, Stan, because we are giving certifications and acknowledging professionals, like Sorel is saying. It's not like if you're not doing stuff, it's that it's bad. It's that, in the global marketplace, we need to figure this out together because our professionals and our friends who are deaf or hard of hearing, they need like 33 times more attention than what they've been given. Because most all people don't know what it is to arrange a sign language interpreter,
Right.
and where to get a sign language. Now, Sue is at Carroll University, in Wisconsin, Waukesha, Wisconsin, and some universities have the program where they learn to do sign language. So that's where we can go do an outreach to find out who is not worried about being paid. Now, that's an issue with a real rub. Because for the professionals, it's undercutting the professionals to not let them come in and be paid for their professional work.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at, I want to see a solution first. I always say, do it first and then do it better. Do it the more appropriate way, getting a fund and paying those professionals. We need to work on that together. But right now, to your point, Stan, there are folks who are deaf or hard of hearing that would want to come into the daily huddle and have a sign language interpreter, but it's not like we're sitting here with the daily huddle budget to say, there you go.
And on the Readers Mastermind Network too. So thank you for that, Kurt. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Stan. And as the two of you were speaking, I had an idea for the last word, but really just one word. Rose, if you had one word or two to qualify what it is you're up to and what you want the world to hear regarding being an inclusion factory, what two words would you choose?
Oh, choose love.
Thank you, Rose. Sue, what are your two words?
Oh, that's hard. Just inclusion. Really, inclusion. Include everyone.
That's it. You got your two words, right? Kurt, your two words.
Do something.
Got it. Emily, you get more than two words. I'd love to hear your reflection on this conversation. You are not the object of this conversation. You are the master of ability. So we'd love to hear you.
I think this has been a great conversation. And love hearing Rose's story and so on. And yeah, it's just a matter of inclusion and acceptance and um yeah, and being like really getting to know somebody, whether they really have a disability or not. I mean, it's just kind of with what Rose is saying, like loving everybody, and you don't necessarily have to agree with them, but just the whole like accepting everybody for like who they are, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Thank you, Emily. Anything else?
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure at the moment.
All right.
Okay,
So
did you?
everybody, we always end the Daily Huddle with the 8 tenets. And every episode, they take on a different feel. And today, in the context of the question, what if you were an inclusion factory? If you were an inclusion factory, perhaps love would be automatic. and normal. If you were an inclusion factory, you would include yourself in a daily self-care routine that is appropriate. You'd stress less. You'd eat more plant-based. You'd sleep more. You'd give more. You'd laugh more. And in many instances, you might end up laughing at yourself. That's good too. And if you were an inclusion factory, you would move your body in a way that surprises you because you're looking to be included just the way you are. And at every turn, being an inclusion factory demands that I check my assumptions, acknowledge my biases, and do just one more thing to pave the way for someone else who's been traditionally excluded. Perhaps that's our only job on the face of this planet, to be an inclusion factory. This is your Daily Huddle. We stream live on YouTube. Watch us there. Subscribe. Invite a friend. Rose, we're looking forward to having your guest here next. Just let us know when. Hey, look who's there.
Blessings, master. Blessings all. Blessings, family.
All right, gang. Make it a great weekend. We'll see you bright and early on Monday morning, right here on the Daily Huddle.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Rose. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sorrel.
Thank you, everyone.